I think it's time we be honest about this Boston Celtics team. They've been pretty decent as of the regular season and have been making some intriguing moves off the court recently. Take their offseason trade for example. Does Kristaps Porzingis really mesh well with Tatum and Jalen Brown? And does Jalen Brown really deserve the $300 million contract? Alongside that, we'll be looking at if Derrick White will be a good starting point guard with the departure of Marcus Smart. We will be answering these three questions by looking at different metrics and stats that you've probably never seen before. So first, let's get right into Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps has been a player that has gone through a numerous amount of injuries, and this killed his ability to be on the court and impact games. And to be more specific, out of the 820 regular season games that Porzingis was a part of, he only played 402 games. That is less than 50%. Are you kidding me? So we can clearly see that injuries are what hold this guy back. And to add on top of all of this, just recently Porzingis said he won't play for Latvia in the World Cup because of a foot problem called plantar fasciitis, which in simple terms is the inflammation of your heel. This isn't a huge injury, but if Porzingis could stay healthy, he could make the Celtics team very dangerous. This is because last season he took a jump, averaging 23.3 points per game while shooting an efficient 50% from the field. Alongside that, he averaged 8.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 1.5 blocks per game. If his numbers could transfer to the Celtics, he can provide the team with three things: 3-point shooting and spacing, insane rim protection, and high value assists. So let's break down these three strengths that Porzingis brings to this team by breaking down some film. First, let's break down Kristaps' 3-point shooting and spacing impact. On this play, the Wizards get a steal, and while pushing it in transition, instead of slowing offense down and running half-court offense, Porzingis makes the Wizards' ability to run transition offense easier by shooting a pull-up three-pointer without hesitation. Now imagine guarding Tatum in transition, then having to deal with a 7-footer trailing in the transition for a three-pointer. That is insane. And now let's move on to Kristaps Porzingis' second strength, and this is his insane rim protection. On this play, Kristaps Porzingis is guarding Joel Embiid on the free throw line, and he sees that Harden is being doubled by Kuzma, and Tobias Harris is cutting without a man on him, so Porzingis easily just helps and picks up on Tobias Harris to get the easy block. So I think for a big man, Kristaps Porzingis has a very high switching IQ, and this is because he's pretty quick laterally for a 7-footer in my opinion. Now let's move on to Porzingis' third strength, and this is his high value assisting. On this play, Porzingis has his back faced to the basket as he's in a post-up position, and before he even gets the ball, he sees that Kuzma is cutting right behind him, so right when he gets the ball in the post, he just taps it to Kuzma for a wide open layup. This is probably one of the craziest passes I've seen. So guys, although Porzingis comes with a lot of injuries and foot problems, if he could stay healthy, man, I don't see why the Celtics team can't go far. And this brings me on to my second point of the video, and this is Jalen Brown's crazy ass contract. Does he really deserve $304 million? Well, before I answer that question, let's compare his contracts to other players in the league. So for example, Mikal Bridges is on a 4-year $90 million deal, and Lauri Markkanen is on a 4-year $67 million deal. So yeah, this contract looks a lot crazier now. And I remember in 2016 when Mike Conley signed the richest contract in NBA history, which was 5 years, $153 million. Like, everyone was freaking out saying, this is insane. But now we got Jalen Brown, and he's getting $304 million. And Brown isn't really an efficient player. Like, when I watched him play in the playoffs, there were a lot of turnovers going on, and let me show you guys a chart to break down his efficiency. So this chart shows us the efficiency and stable points per possession for Jalen Brown, and when we look at the numbers here, he's a solidly efficient player, but he's not anything special where he's worth like $60 million a year. And to understand how bad this contract was, a very trusted source called B-Ball Index gave us a list of the top 10 worst contracts in the NBA. And out of the top 10, Jalen Brown is the second worst contract in the NBA. By all means, guys, I'm not saying Jalen Brown does not deserve this money. He's a very good player, but I'm saying that I don't blame the Celtics in this situation, because either they're going to let the guy walk for absolutely nothing, or they can retain him for $60 million. He's worth a lot of money, but just not $60 million. That's just all I'm trying to say. Now to move on to the third topic of today's video, and this is Derrick White being the starting point guard for the Boston Celtics, knowing that Marcus Smart is not in the roster because they traded him away for Kristaps Porzingis. Before we get into the nitty gritty about Derrick White, first let's look at his outside shell and let's look at his basic stats to get an understanding of how good he played last season. Last season, Derrick White averaged 12.4 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game. And on top of this, he was a very consistent three-point shooter, shooting 38% from the three-point line. But besides these stats, what makes Derrick White a very good point guard is his ability to be a very strong pick-and-roll ball handler, and he's very efficient at this. And when we look at this efficiency chart for Derrick White, we can see that under the stable pick-and-roll ball handler, he has an A+ grade. This means that not only is he very good at pick and rolls, he's also very efficient at it as well. And Derrick White's also been a very good backup point guard when we look at his career, and this chart is a very good example of this. When being a backup ball handler, Derrick White's passing efficiency has increased over the years, and when we look at 2023, he's just on top of the pack and nobody else really compares to him. That's why he has an A+ grade. And guys, besides that, he also shaved his head, so man is gonna be on a whole nother level. He kind of looks like Mr. Clean. And aside from the playmaking and scoring side of things, Derrick White is probably one of the best guards when it comes to defending, and let me show you this chart to prove it. Derrick White has consistently been above average compared to other on-ball defenders when it comes to defending on an island. And you can see his perimeter isolation defense continues to get better, but 2019 is the year that he peaked. He was doing nice. And 2023, he's also way above average. And in addition to this, there's a stat that may shock you guys. As a point guard, Derrick White is probably one of the best at protecting the rim. And this scatter plot is a prime example of Derrick White's rim protecting, as when it comes to contesting shots at the rim, this dude is in a league of his own. As you see, he's in the top right. So do I trust Derrick White to play the point guard for the Boston Celtics? I couldn't be more confident in saying yes, I trust Derrick White. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Just be honest with me. Do you think that the Jalen Brown contract was an overpay, or do you think that he deserved this contract? And do you see the Celtics team going far? Do you think that they will win the championship? And guys, the Celtics have a pretty scary future, but there's also another team in the league that has a scary future, and this is the Detroit Pistons. I break down data that you have probably never seen before. So yeah, bro, you want to watch that video? You click this button right here. I'll catch you guys in the next one though. Peace.